All right. We are back. The Artist Reach talk show is back. We've been on hiatus for a while, and we have with everybody today we are graced with the presence of Chad Hollister of the Chad Hollister Band. I found him on Twitter. He's amazing. Chad, go ahead and say hello to everybody on the show.
Hello, everybody on the show. It's great to be with you guys. Really appreciate you guys reaching out. Glad we fell in love on Twitter.
Tweeting away, and now, Chad, we got a lot to discuss today here. One of the things I wanted to really get across to the audience here is you've been around the block as a musician. You've played with some pretty big names, have you not?
Yeah, we've been really blessed, and I think being an independent band is kind of one of our big things. There's never been any record label. We've chatted with a few labels, and it just never seemed right. And because we like doing it our own way, and so throughout the years we've had some amazing opening shows open for Bob Dylan and Paul Simon when they were touring together, and then got to open for Tom Petty, and have just had some great shows. But have been doing it for a long time. And what's cool about your show is there's so many people who have no idea who we are, and that's a great way for them to find out about us. And then in turn we tour to your area, in their area and beyond. So it's cool.
That's outstanding, man. And now, so I would have to say that you guys are a success story for a band that is not signed.
Yeah, well, the problem with the labels, and is in this day and age, bands are able to do it on their own. A guy that I've worked with, John Ojaka, he's brilliant, and he talks about making money without touring, and from through online marketing. There's so many people, there's so many fans of music out there, and John's thing is to help find them through your beginning fan base, because the reality is if you have 1,000 fans that are totally into your stuff, you can make a living through your online stuff. And we love the shows, we love traveling, and it's a little bit more difficult these days because the band has grown to 10 pieces. There are 10 dudes on the stage, and so traveling with that, it's got to be worth our while. So we don't really take that out on the road unless it's a big show. But around New England, you can see that band. And then when I travel and tour, a lot of times I'll travel just solo, duo, or sometimes acoustic trio with my lead guitar player and then mandolin, pedal steel player. So it just kind of depends on the gig, but it's good. It's good to play music.
All right, let's talk a little technicality, because I'm a musician myself, and I just love hearing about this stuff. What are you working with on the stage? You briefly went over it a little bit, but you're a 10-piece now?
Yeah. So the horn section, the root of the band is our bass and drums and lead guitar and myself. So we've got the quartet. And then to that, over the years, we added Steve Benson. We added pedal steel and mandolin, so he goes back and forth between those, and a little bit of dobro as well. And then we added a percussionist, Yeoba Garcia. And then from there, we added 3 horns, and then within the past year, we've added a 4th horn. So
cool.
Our saxophonist, Chris Peterman, he basically writes all that. We get together and we write the parts together, and then he goes into his amazing musical world and writes all the charts for trombone, trumpet, and baritone sax.
That is so... Wow, I'm blown away. That's amazing. That's a full-piece band. That's a real production.
It's crazy. I mean, it's wonderful and it's scary all at the same time, because just playing, keeping track of 9 guys, or when we're with our crew, with 13 cats, is not that easy. But if I were to have to keep track of 12 to 13 cats, it would be these guys. Like, I can't say enough about my band. And I've had a lot of bands throughout the years and a lot of players, and this lineup is really special. The guys are all seasoned veterans. There's no rookies, and not that there's anything bad with rookies, but just when you have cats that are in it for the right reasons, they're in it for the music. They're not in it for the booze, the chicks, the travel, the whatever. It's they know what they're doing, and they know how much the music means to me.
Would you consider these guys your friends?
Oh yeah. We are. They're all definitely my friends.
Chad, I'm gonna butt in for a second. I was thinking about this a little bit earlier. I was just walking to my car, and I was thinking about how everything that you said. I was thinking about how with maturity comes that appreciation of what you're doing it for. I was thinking I'm going through that transition right now myself, and everything you just said, I think, I kind of thought that. I was like, you gotta. The one thing that comes through in the music is that these guys are serious,
And they're fun. They're fun.
You're so right. I think you nailed it. In that, because it's just in life in general. You know what I mean? I mean, no matter what you're doing. I mean, you could be a basket weaver, but if you don't, give a crap about basket weaving, you're just going to do it and go through the motions, and your baskets might be okay.
Yeah.
But it can translate into anything. And when people come and see us and they see the chemistry on stage, it's one thing to hear the record, and I hear this all the time. It's like, when are you going to release a live record? Because your live stuff is so killer. And I know you guys are fans of the Spruce Performing Arts show, the Mama Knows, that you guys are going to hear the studio version. And the live version is obviously quite a bit longer. But there's something about live that, bands try to reach in the studio that just never gets reached because there's not an audience and there's not necessarily the interaction that there is on the live stage. I mean, because you're multi-tracking, you're adding the horns later, and you're adding the B3 at the end. You're doing your harmony. It's just, there's something about live music, and especially I feel with our show, with many shows, of course, but with our show, there's a trust, there's friendship, there's musical passion, all blending together on that stage, and it explodes. It's just, the guys are so good, and so it's, for me, it's almost like surfing. Like I get on the stage with that band, and it's like I'm riding the wave. And sometimes I just stop playing my guitar and listen. They don't need me. So I'm just listening to them, blow doors down, and I'm watching the people is so fun for me. I love just watching the crowd as we play and taking them on a musical journey. It's pretty cool.
We made a decision. My co-host and technical guy Juan Gonzalez and I we just realized we usually close our show with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And today we're making an exception. Like we're gonna play Mama Knows live as well as the studio version.
Nice. I thought you were gonna play Wayne's World. Two guys in their backyard, dudes. Sick.
All right. Well, without any further ado, can you give us a little setup for the song "Mama Knows"? Because everyone's hearing about this now, and I know we got some. I can see the traffic coming to the show now, and for all the listeners just tuning in, this is Chad Hollister of the Chad Hollister Band. They are a band from New England that are amazing. You got to check them out on YouTube. You got to check them out on iTunes and buy their music. And please tell us more about the album. Actually,
well,
I'm a little scatterbrained today.
Let's play a song first.
Yeah, Danny Bernini was sent to me through my drummer. I was looking for producers, and I was thinking of traveling. I thought, you always think about doing it out in L.A. because there's such a wealth of talent out there. And then I was thinking of Nashville, and then I realized I was going to have to. I really wanted to have this be my band. I wanted it to be my guys, and so my drummer Tommy Deal, who's just amazing. He's been on the road. He was on the road with the band Acoustic Junction, as well as Spooky Daily Pride, and he plays with a lot of different folks. But he joined us a couple years back when our drummer Drew McKeon, a few years back, hit the road with Michael Bolton. And so he's touring the globe with Michael now. But Tommy joined us, and when I mentioned to Tommy about I was looking for producers, he said, "Oh man, call Danny Bernini. You guys would be perfect." And because Danny had produced all the Acoustic Junction stuff and had produced the Spooky Daily Pride stuff, and it's just amazing. Danny and his kind of studio partner there, Paul McNamara, just have this beautiful place in Northampton, Mass. And it's a place where you go and you stay. They make all your meals, so you're not worrying about taking 2 hours to go out and get crappy pizza. You come and you take a break, and your meal is on the table, and so you can really focus on the music. And so we crafted the record right there at Spirit House Records in Northampton, Mass. And,
Northampton, Massachusetts. Very cool.
Yeah, and Danny's just a great guy. And just brilliant at getting sounds. The place, you look, it's just a house. You drive up to it like, wow, what's up with this place? And so you're not, with this place, you're not paying for the gal making coffee. You're not paying for, the bells and whistles, other than killer food and a killer producer and engineer. But you're paying for the place and for the experience.
Yeah, see, I love stories like that. I love stories about, like going on a retreat and working on something, like
it's a musical retreat, and
yeah.
we spent a few days and we laid all the basic tracks, and then and we did it in blocks. So I kind of kept going back and adding the horns and then adding we had Mitch Shakur, who's just a brilliant, was out with Joe Cocker and everybody under the sun. And Mitch, a lot of these cats, they come in and they play their parts. Mitch not only is a killer B3 player, but he's a great guitarist. He's a great singer. Just brilliant. And he lives close by. And Danny's like, "Oh yeah, man, you got to get Mitch on this." So we added the B3. We added some awesome cello on the song "Walk Away."
Awesome, man. Awesome. I hate to cut you off, but I got to ask, on Stop the World, there's a song called Mama Knows. We're about to play it. I can't keep the listeners waiting any longer. They've got to hear it. Tell us just in a few seconds a little setup about this song.
I'm a self-proclaimed mama's boy, and this song is, as I grew up, I realized how important mom was in my life. I always knew it, but so this song goes out to beautiful my mom, Joan Hollister, and it's a song, one of the two songs I wrote for her on this record.
All right. Without any further ado, this is Mama Knows by the Chad Hollister Band.
Well, Mama says you got to do